Okay, hello my friends. I thought I'd do some area models here to kind of give you a better idea of what you need to do when multiplying fractions. So the first problem I have is a word problem. It says the bleachers at a football game are 7/8 full, and 1/2 of the fans in the bleachers are rooting for the home team. What fraction of the bleachers are filled with home team fans? So our important numbers here are 7/8, okay? That's how much of the bleachers is full, and 1/3, that is, or 1/2, I'm sorry, is how many of those fans are home fans. So they're rooting for the Franklin Warriors. So first, what would be our number sentence? That would be 7/8 times 1/2, because 7/8 of the bleachers are full, and 1/2 of those fans are Franklin Warrior fans. Okay, so now to do our area model, first going to draw a rectangle. Okay, and our denominator for our bleachers is 8. So I'm going to divide our bleachers here into 8 sections, top to bottom. Okay, so there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now there's our bleachers. So now these bleachers, if you can imagine the bleachers on the football field, they're not full, okay? They're only 7/8 full. So I am going to color in 7 of these 8 sections. Okay, so if you imagine all the people sitting in the bleachers watching a game, this section of bleachers is empty. Okay, there's no fans in that section. Okay, now 1/2 of all these fans are Franklin Warrior fans. They're rooting for the home team. So I'm going to divide the bleachers in half horizontally now. Okay, so now if you can imagine if they said, okay, Franklin fans up top, away fans on the bottom. Okay, so that means all the Franklin fans would be sitting up here. Okay, so I'm going to color in the top for the 1/2 in red. And I'm just doing little tick marks here so you could see where there's 2 colors and where there's not. Okay, so there's all the Franklin fans, but don't forget that this section, whole section top to bottom, has no fans in there. So even though that would be like home team section, there's nobody sitting there. They're only sitting in these yellow sections. Okay, now we're practically done. How many sections are in our bleachers? Okay, well, we divided it into 8 top to bottom, okay, for the 8 sections in our bleachers, and then we divided that into half, so that means we should have 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 sections in our bleachers. So that means that our denominator is 16. Now, out of all these fans, how many of them are Franklin fans? Well, that's where our yellow and our red overlap. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7/16 of our fans are Franklin Warrior fans for the home team. Okay, makes sense? Okay, and if you look at the numbers, you might see a pattern going across, but that's for you to find out. Okay. Next thing, I wanted to show you how to do an area model with mixed numbers. Now, this is one of the problems from your work today. Okay, I already did a video on doing the window method, which is also called an area model. I'll refresh that in a second when I finish this, but I wanted to show you how to do this the coloring way. Okay, so 4.5 times 1.5. So 4.5 is greater than 4 but less than 5. So in my model, I am actually going to start with 5 sections. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Pretend that they're equal. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. These are all holes. But now I don't need 5 holes. I need 4 holes and 1/2. So this last section I'm going to divide into halves. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 halves, which still equals 5, but we only need 4.5. So again, I'm now going to color. my model, but I'm going to color 4 1/2 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1/2, leaving 1/2 empty. Okay, now our next number is 1 1/2. Okay, so again, greater than 1, less than 2. I'm going to divide this into 2 sections. So this is 1 whole. Okay, now I don't need another whole, I need a half. So I'm going to divide this bottom into 2 sections, 1/2 and 1/2. Okay, so now kind of understand, we have, if you ignore these vertical lines going across, we have 1 whole, 1/2, and another half. Okay, now I want to color in 1 1/2 going across. Okay, again, I'm going to do some tick marks. So this is 1. All the way across is still 1. Okay, top to bottom, left to right, the whole thing is still 1. Okay, there's 1 whole. Now I need to color in a half. Now, this half does not get colored in, so this is only yellow, and this 1/2 is only red. Okay, now it might be a little hard to see, so I'm going to outline each hole. So this is 1 hole in our model. This is 1 hole in our model. 1 hole, 1 hole. Now these 2 halves make 1 hole. These 4 pieces make 1 hole, and then going across I have 2 halves, 2 halves, 2 halves. Okay, that makes it a little easier to find our product. So now when I look at colored both ways, this is 1 hole. So how many holes do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 holes that are colored both ways. Okay, now when I continue going across, I have this right here, this box. Now this box is 1 hole. This is colored both ways, but this is only red. So there I only have a 1/2 colored both ways. Now I go across this way, and let's see how good you guys are. This is a hole, but I have only a half colored both ways. So that would be 1/2, and then look, there's another half. So what's that together? Well, 1/2 and 1/2 is going to be another whole for those two, right? That's 1/2 plus 1/2, okay, equals 1. And then here we have another 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1. So I'm going to add another 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 holes, 1/2, 1 hole here, and another hole here. So that's 2 holes. And then we have this 1 square left. If I look at it, I'm not divided into halves anymore because I divided half this way and half this way. So this is divided into 4ths, okay? And out of my 4 4ths, I have 1 right there that's divided both ways, colored both ways, so that's 1 1/4. Now if I put this all together, I have 4, 5, 6 holes, and then 1/2 plus 1/4. Well, 1/2 is equal to 2 4ths, so 2 4ths plus 1/4 is equal to 3 4ths. So altogether, this makes 6 3 4ths. So 4 1/2 times 1 1/2 is equal to 6 3 4ths. Got it? Okay, now I'm going to show you real quick the other way that I did the video today. We use the window method or the box method, what you guys usually call it. It's a little easier than the whole coloring thing, but it doesn't show you as well. So when you did the box method, you would make your box. Okay, now we have a whole and fraction, so I'm going to make a 2 by 2 box for my whole number and my fraction, and then my whole number and my fraction. Okay, if this was only a fraction, if it was 4 1/2 by just 1/2, there was no 1, you would only have a 2 by 1, and then this would be a fraction. Okay, then I do it just like you would do with the window method. 4 times 1 equals 4. 1/2 times 1 equals 1/2. 4 times 1/2. Well, 1/2 of 4 is 2. Okay, and then 1/2 times 1/2, I hope we get that so far, is 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4. So now I have 4 plus 2 plus 1/2 plus 1/4. Again, I need a common denominator. So I have 4, 2 wholes. Now 1/2, we're going to have fourths as our common denominator. So 1/2 is going to be 2/4. And then I don't need anything to do with that. So I have 4 plus 2 is 6. 2/4 plus 1/4 is 3/4. Okay, I have a feeling you kind of like this method better because it breaks it down. It's not so much coloring and counting, but either method works, and I hope that helps. Have a great day, bub.